To call the meeting to order, if we could stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Mendez, do we have anything for open forum? No. Okay. All right, so we will move to the consent agenda. We only have one item, the minutes from October 12th. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. On to new business. Meet the new TMS assistant principal. And I believe his first name is Scott Kellet?
That is correct. Thank you, Madam
Thank
Chairman.
you.
Yeah, we're fortunate to, tonight on, we have all of our principals with us, but we have Mr. Scott Kellet, the new assistant principal at the middle school, joining us. We're very fortunate to have Scott. He's a veteran, seasoned administrator coming to us from Massachusetts. I know he's hit the ground running. Mr. Zottoli has sung his praises to me multiple times already about his contributions to the school. Again, we're fortunate. So, Scott, it's great to have you with us this evening. You'd like to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
First, I want to thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, rest of the school committee. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. I can't thank Dr. Sanchioni and Mr. Zottoli for the opportunity. I come to you from Massachusetts. I think I've been in this business for about 34 years, and I retired October 1st from Dover-Sherburne in Massachusetts, and I started on October 4th at Tiverton Middle School, and I'm just thrilled to be there. Folks have been just so welcoming. The staff, everybody there, especially the kids. The kids have been fantastic, and I look forward to being there for quite some time. I'm far too young to retire, and beyond that, I think it's very healthy for my marriage to continue working because I drive my wife nuts if I were home because I can't sit still. But this area is beautiful. I'd never realized it. I had always gone to Cape Cod, and my wife and I have found this area just spectacular. So we're very excited to be here.
Oh, wait till January, but welcome. All right, does anyone have any other words for Mr. Kellet? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, 5B, teacher goals. Dr. Sanchioni.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And over the last couple meetings we've had, you've seen us present district goals, and following the district goals that help us stay focused on our vision and mission. You saw our principals come forward and present their school improvement plan. You saw that they were connected to the district goals. But you've also heard us throw out terms like SLOs and PPGs and the things that our teachers do to connect to their school improvement plan, to connect to the district goals. So I thought it was important for the community and for the school committee to hear from some of our teachers about how we have aligned the district, that how we have our teachers connect their goals to their school improvement plan goals, to the district goals, which is how we can align our budget priorities, how we can align our professional development priorities. And when the district is aligned, you can make significant gains in growth for student achievement. So we're very fortunate tonight to have some of our teachers who have accepted the challenge to present to you their SLO and their PGG. And I believe that Julie Simmons is going to start tonight, but we also have Megan McFarland. Unfortunately, Christine Costa, our current teacher of the year, was going to present to you. She was going to present Tuesday, Thursday, end up being a night she couldn't make. I believe Megan McFarland will speak on her behalf. And then we have Matt McGuire from the high school. So with that introduction, Julie.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. My colleague Megan and I are so happy to be here to share with you the teacher role in our district goals. So, Dave, can you go back one just for a moment, please? Thank you so much. So Dr. Sanchioni went over the district goals, and then from there, the principals went over the school improvement plan. So from that, our teachers and principals create SLOs and PGGs. And tonight I'm going to talk to you about the first grade PGGs and SLOs that our PLC, our professional learning community, which is the first grade teachers in our district, we met together and we discussed which parts of those SLOs and PGGs we wanted to have as a team. So please know that when I discuss the first grade SLOs and PGGs, I'm speaking as a team of first graders that have decided on these. Dave, can you move to the next slide, please? Thank you so much. So our first grade SLO in our first grade team is technology. And during the 2021 and 2022 school year, teachers are going to use 2 technology tools from the Google Suite to advance student learning in all subject areas. And luckily, the Google Suite is something that the Tiverton School Department uses throughout their high school career. So we figured in first grade, it's a great start to allow them to be able to use those tools that they'll continue to use throughout their years in Tiverton School Department. Can we have the next slide, please, Dave? Thank you. The second SLO is in writing and math. For math, we're trying to make sure that our students grow in their mathematical concepts, and it also goes along with the district goals and the school improvement teams group decisions. So what we're going to do is we are going to use our STAR assessments to show growth, to make sure that our students are really understanding those mathematical concepts and are able to apply them. The second goal for our first grade team is writing. And what we're doing right now is we're taking our current Wit and Wisdom curriculum and we are administering 2 or 3 common grade level writing assessments from our current program, and we're aligning them to the standards. So we're going to meet in our PLC and we're going to discuss those writing pieces, and from there decide on what we'll do further to make sure our students are doing their best learning. Can we have the next slide, please, Dave? Thank you. Last but not least, we have a first grade PGG, and it goes along with the instructional practice, which we call the Green Book training. This is the training that teachers are currently going through in the elementary level. And so throughout the 2001-2022 school year, teachers are implementing 2 instructional practices based on this teaching philosophy coming from this Green Book, which is titled Instructional Practices that Maximize Student Achievement. So basically what we're doing is we're taking 2 of the practices from this book and we're implementing them. And then through the training that we are in this year, we're reflecting on them. So we're going back to the training, discussing what went well, what other teachers are using, and basically how we can continue to provide best instruction for our students. Next slide, please, Dave. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Megan.
Thank you so much, Julie. For 3rd grade, along with all elementary teachers last year, we had a professional development with the wonderful Abra Robinson from EdTech Teacher. And now, as part of this school year, we need to take everything that we learned from Abra and now take 2 of those pieces of technology and use them in our classrooms. Why is this important right now? It's as part of the 21st century learning standards. Our students will need to participate in critical thinking, communicating, collaborating, and problem solving in our classrooms. By including technology such as Flipgrid, Google Slides, Jamboard, Zern, etc., this will give our students the opportunity to become more engaged, gain independence, and later thrive as productive citizens. Next slide, please. As we stated, the 3rd grade goals for writing and for math are extremely similar. So I just jumped right to our Green Book training professional growth goal. Why is this important? Because again, we need to take exactly what we are learning in our professional development and we need to apply them to our everyday classroom. Our objective is to increase student engagement and increase student growth using the teaching practices outlined in the book. For grade 3, we are going to particularly look at using an activator. These are activities used at the beginning of each lesson that the students can complete independently by activating their background knowledge, and hopefully they will now apply that into our lesson for that particular day. Another strategy that we are going to implement is the use of exit tickets or summarizers at the end of a lesson. Parents, you might see these as, for math, particularly the exit tickets at the end of a Eureka Math program, we also use them as part of our written wisdom. Why is this important for teachers to use? We have to be able to see whether or not our students are taking in the information that we are presenting to them. If they are not actively applying the lesson, then we have to figure out ways and mini lessons in order for the students to actually grasp the material that we're teaching at a later date. Next slide, please. I will also be presenting on behalf of Christine Costa tonight. So by the end of the school year, I'm just going to move our faces. Students will improve their informative and explanatory writing skills by developing a topic with relevant, sufficient evidence from informational text. Teachers will administer 3 common grade writing assessments that are aligned to the standards in our written wisdom curriculum. Christine would also like me to please add, the SLL1 writing goal is in alignment with the district's goals. Common writing assessments are administered at the beginning, middle, and end of the school year and scored using the written wisdom rubric. They also have a professional growth goal that's based on their current professional development of a project-based learning. So throughout the 2021-2022 school year, instruction will focus on the project-based learning teaching method, which includes the implementation of the following. Start with a problem or question, investigate and research, real-world connection, student voice, choice, and selecting their choice and platform for presenting their research, reflect, critique, and revise, create a product in which their findings will be shared with the community. Christine has also asked me to please add that project-based learning aligns with the district's goals and helps students develop the 21st century learning skills of communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. I will now hand this over to Matt.
Yeah. Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me? I'll have to apologize. I am broadcasting live here from the parking lot at East Greenwich High School at a soccer game. So I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. I will start off with the THS goals. Dave, if you could switch the slide. Our professional growth goals. So throughout the 2021-2022 school year, my professional development will be based on Project Learn Academics Project-Based Learning PD. I will apply the knowledge gained from professional development to design and implement a project-based learning activity into my teaching practice. My objective is to increase student engagement based on the idea project-based learning immerses students in projects that allow them to construct their own knowledge and develop authentic products while dealing with real-world issues. The goal connects directly with the SIP presented by the superintendent and the principal. So if you look over to the side, the action steps, we all attended professional development sessions on the Green Book. We completed that and we developed professional development work along with those sessions last year. Within our PLCs, we discussed the process and the timeline with all of our peers. We incorporated the components into our teaching, and then we solicited feedback from our students. We brought that back to our PLCs and we reflected on the project to determine whether or not changes were needed and necessary for the benefit of both us and our students. And then we wrote down ambitious goals make for outstanding achievements. Dave, could you switch the slide, please? So we wrote this down: SMART. It should be specific. It should be measurable, aggressive, realistic, time-bound. Dave, can you switch that, please? Thank you very much. For our study, so we have 2 student learning objectives. This is our writing one. The goal will be to increase our students' writing performance by using a shared analytic scoring system that focuses on the 3 main components of writing: content and organization, writing style, and mechanics. The rationale: learn collaboratively by discussing agreed upon rubrics, student work, and test scores based on the SAT, PSAT, and STAR testing. We're going to arrange our PLC meetings for the common understanding of effective practices, set agendas to cover a double looped learning cycle as opposed to a single looped, monitor, access, and adjust practices as needed, analyze student work, and then it's a continuous cycle of improvement. Evidence sources for the increased understanding of writing process across all areas of the curriculum, improved academic performance in writing for all students. And that's what I have for you folks.
Does anyone from the committee have any questions or comments for Mr. McGuire?
Matt, go over for me again, if you can, the double loop.
For years, this is kind of it's an older strategy, but a single loop, if the student is identifying a problem, a single loop would be just identifying what the problem is. And a double loop would go beyond that. It would not only identify the problem, but also the cause. So I guess I could give you an example and I'll use something from my health class. Mr. Smith has diabetes. All right. Why does he have diabetes? I don't only want to know, okay, for example, and I'm just going to kind of speak how I speak with the kids. It's because he has a bad diet. Well, I want more than that. The fact that he's become obese, what was he eating that caused that? What is obesity? You're kind of going beyond what you like. Instead of just identifying the issue in terms of being wrong, you're identifying the cause and you're digging deeper into the problem. Does that explain it?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And I will work our way back to Ms. McFarland. Does anyone have any questions for her? No? And how about Ms. Simmons?
Nope.
Okay, well, I don't have any questions, but I do want to thank the three teacher presenters this evening for joining us, especially last minute like this, and jumping in for Mrs. Costa. You know, I thought what was presented really made a lot of sense. You know, I'm seeing a lot of integration between topics, such as, you know, technology, writing. These are things that we're constantly focusing on: student engagement, student achievement, and you know, the project-based learning, which I know is a big topic nowadays. So I give you all kudos for coming up with a great presentation and explaining it in a way that those of us who aren't necessarily educators can understand. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item 5C, administrative goals. Dr. Sanchioni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just before we go, I want to also thank Megan, Julie, and Matt for being here this evening, also filling in for Christine. You did an amazing job. I knew that you were the right people for this, and again, showing how the district is aligned. So the last part of this, and it really isn't sequential, but again, you saw district goals, you saw school improvement plan goals from our principals, you heard our teachers describe their SLOs and their PGG, but we also have some administrators who have goals that I'd like to present to you today. So we have three people. We have Sarah Krager from Special Ed, Amy to my left, and Dave to my left. So I know Sarah's got a presentation queued up, ready to go, so let's bring her up. Hi, Sarah.
Good evening. Thanks, Dr. Sanchioni. I will share my screen. And Dr. Sanchioni, the school committee does have a copy of this, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So I'll start just by going over the overall goal of the special education department. And this is a goal that continues from year to year. No, we want to provide specialized services for all of the students ages 3 to 22 who qualify for an individual education plan because of their disability, and their disability impacts their school performance, either academic or social, and we want to make sure that we improve all of those areas of functional academic so they are successful after school. When we look at the overall Tiverton Public School mission statement, we want to make sure that we are educating all the students we serve, and we want to serve all of the students through high levels of high quality instruction and positive relationships. So when I bring that down to the special education goals, we think about IDEA, the law, and then our services. So we too, when we create IEPs, individual ed plans for students with disabilities, we want to maintain high expectations for all of our students. We want to encourage them and challenge them. In doing so, we need to make sure we are appropriately identifying students who have special education needs. And we want to make sure that we are testing appropriately and assessing students appropriately, so we know exactly where the skill deficits are and what we have to work on. While we do that, we challenge ourselves to try to service all of our students in the least restrictive environment. That's what the LRE is, and that's part of IDEA as well. And in doing that, we just want to make sure we are continually developing ourselves professionally and ways that we can do that. In fact, we met recently with an elementary team of teachers, and we're looking at other ways we can service students with IEPs and other students who are experiencing some difficulties in the classroom. So that's exciting to not only meet with a group of special ed teachers, but with regular ed teachers to really come up with some good ideas, innovative ideas on how to service our students. And then as we appropriately identify and make goals for students, we have to make sure we're monitoring progress closely, because by doing that, then we adjust what our instruction is for each of the students. Just an idea, when I go over the goals, I needed to think about the students we service who have IEPs. Now there's 14 different categories. Again, we service kids from age 3 to young adults who are age 22. We have about 300 students in Tiverton based on the June 21 census. So there's 13 primary disability categories. I wanted to choose 4 that most of our students fall under. So I thought about those categories when creating the goals for special education. And you can see those categories. Oops. Oh, sorry. I can't see because I have that, of specific learning disability. And I just briefly go over that. A specific learning disability is when a student has a skill deficit in the areas of reading, writing, and math. Other health impaired are students who have a health issue that impacts their functioning and their day-to-day performance. An example of that may be a student with diabetes, a student with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and the ways that impacts students. Then we have students who are on the autism spectrum disorder, and spectrum is the key word there. And then students with emotional disturbance, and that's where students who are experiencing dysregulation in their emotions and behaviors and how that impacts their day-to-day performance.
Mrs. Prager, could I just interrupt you very quickly before
we move on?
Yeah.
Sorry to, you presented 4 of what you said are 13. Can we assume then that the other 9 each individually represent less than 10%?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Are around just that 10% for the other categories.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, speech and language is one that's actually a little bit higher too, and that's just specific to speech and language. Those students who are eligible for that category, that only goes up to age 8. And then if they continue to need that sort of instruction for speech and language, if it's articulation or how to express or understand language, that would fall under another disability category too, and would be more of a related service.
Do any students overlap multiple categories?
The primary disability category, there may be students who have a learning disability, for example, and maybe ADHD, but there is by doing those evaluations and identifying students appropriately, there is a primary disability category that the IEP is based on. And then there could be accommodations, for example, for the attention difficulties.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let me try and share this again. Can you see that?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so for the special ed department goals, the first one is I took the Tiverton Public School District goal about providing high quality professional development to ultimately increase student achievement. So this one we're really excited about. We very much focus on developing our teachers and what our teachers are doing with students, but our teacher assistants are really key in implementing accommodations and modifications and supporting students in the classroom. So as you saw, the disability categories of, for example, emotional disturbance or students with autism, we really wanted to train our teacher assistants on evidence-based methods of supporting students with behavioral challenges. So we are training all of our teacher assistants in registered behavior technician, the methods and techniques behind that. And by doing so, it's not only supporting students by being there and supervising, they really become part of the student's plan, collecting data, looking at target behaviors and carrying out behavior plans, ultimately to promote socially acceptable behavior. So we started this at our last PD day and received already a lot of great feedback from the teacher assistants. So they're just excited to be more hands-on with our students and really intervening with the students and giving them that skill set. And you can see there just some pictures from that PD. And then the second goal I have goes along with that same district goal of professional development. So all students with disabilities who qualify for special education services have IEPs. You already heard me say that, individual education plans. All of those are based on that skill deficit the student is experiencing or exhibiting based on the evaluations that we did. So we need to make sure that once we have that baseline, we have to create good measurable goals. So we know exactly where the students are and where they need to go. And that's the only way we can really get at these gaps. So we have a lot of special ed teachers. We have, like you saw, 300 students with IEPs. So I need to make sure that those IEPs are consistent and measurable. So we're going to be providing some PD on goal writing, making sure they're measurable. We have linked up with a software company to assist us in that, and that will help the teachers dive deep or task analyze the skill deficit to make sure that they're getting the instruction that they need, and then ultimately monitor the students' performance and make sure that they're making progress, and then adjust our instruction if they aren't. And those are the two overarching goals that I was excited to share with you tonight.
Thank you very much. Does anyone on the committee have any comments, questions for Mrs. Krager?
Peter, 297 students out of how many?
1,800.
Thank you.
I do want to commend you, Mrs. Krager, for, in particular, providing some development and support for the teacher assistants. I mean, they're really the ones providing so much of the hands-on services to our students, and making sure that they get the development that they need to provide that service is fantastic. Thank you.
We're excited about that too.
Okay. All right, next on our agenda, under old business.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. We have two more administrators who love to speak to you this evening, Ms. Roderick and Mr. Cannavale. So ladies first.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sanchioni. I appreciate it. So this is, I'm closing in on my second full year here, if you can believe it. And it's definitely been an adventure, but I really like the challenge and I really like working here. So thank you for bringing me on. And in terms of administration and finance, my primary goal, as everyone knows, is to develop the annual budget. Now that I've been around the block a couple of times, I've come to realize that we just can't speak to people like I can't talk to people like an accountant, because not everyone is an accountant. And so I've actually Dr. Sanchioni and I have meeting scheduled next week to meet with the principals and the department heads, and we're actually giving them an opportunity to tell us what they need that aligns with their goals, as opposed to them, yes, I'm giving them a spreadsheet, they're giving it back to me, but we're actually having a conversation. And now that I know the context and I know the challenges that we're facing, so that we can get a level service budget and we can make sure that the students of Tiverton get the best education possible that we can provide. With that, thanks to Mrs. Farnworth with some input, I'm going to be revising the budget book pages a little bit to make it a little more clear, although still having the supporting detail and as much detail should anyone care to flip to the back or flip to those pages, so that anyone of any audience can understand. And again, that's not to insult anyone, but not everyone is an accountant. And so what I may take for granted, or someone in the finance industry may take for granted, may not be quite so obvious to some folks. So I guess making it slightly more user-friendly, if you want to call it that. And as always, my goal is to have the first draft of the budget book by the one and only school committee meeting in December. And actually, I already have some of my staff working on the salary pages. We've got a much bigger jump start this year than we did last year. So, refining the process as we go along. The second is a goal that Dr. Sanchioni and I developed in terms of communicating better from my office with the town budget committee and the members of the town, in terms of being more accessible, having more public-facing communications. I don't have to sort of sit behind Dr. Sanchioni. I can address some of these issues for him. And in terms of what exactly that's going to look like right now, I don't know, but I do have hopes in the back of my mind that to have either something on the district's webpage or social media, if you want to have it, ask the finance director, ask the CFO, and again, just to be out there to let people know that I don't just sit in the office and do nothing, or just sit there behind my Excel spreadsheets, and that I am approachable, and that anyone is free to contact me should they need any clarification. If they have nothing better to do and they want a mini education in municipal finance, I'm happy to provide that. And so I will be working with Ms. Delcourt on some sort of public-facing, again, I'm not sure if it's a newsletter, a little quip on the school's webpage or social media or something like that, but something that anyone can contact me with some regularity. What that is right now, I have some ideas, but it hasn't been refined. But just to, to support Dr. Sanchioni in his time, folks can come to me directly. If I have a question, we can work on it together. But to let folks know that, it's not this mysterious job or this mysterious process. Reach out. And if the budget committee, wants to, some specific questions or wants to speak with me, I'm happy to do that to make sure everyone's on the same page. And this year, Dr. Sanchioni has made me the lucky recipient of working with Mr. Mendes on facilities and moving a lot of those projects forward. And I have to say, that's an element of my job that's new and challenging, but I like it. It's different from sitting behind the desk doing the spreadsheets. And so with that, I don't want to say the 4 highest priority facility projects, but very high priority are the siding at Ranger, the light poles at the high school, and then replacing the kitchen equipment at the high school and at the middle school. And I can tell you that all of those projects are underway in some form, meaning I've reached out to contractors, we've gotten quotes, we've, in terms of The light poles, I've been working with National Grid on a program for that, even in terms of potential special payment terms should the capital funding from the town not come through, so that we can get that done and take advantage of some very significant incentives that will expire on December 31st. So, and we have ordered the dishwasher for the high school because the one that was going has gone. And the steamer and there's a serving line unit at the middle school that have also just stopped working. And so we will need to replace those no matter what. But I've been working with Mr. Mendes and the school staff to get all those projects done. So they are underway. Timing of completion varies. We have very, very, very long lead times for supplies, averaging 10 to 12 weeks at a minimum. So with that, I will leave it open for questions, suggestions.
Do we have any questions from anyone on the committee?
I just wanted to let you know I never thought you sat behind a computer and stared at Excel spreadsheets. It's not what I think of you, but thank you.
But you're welcome. So some people don't know what I do, and that's part of the education, I think, that might be helpful, as opposed to literally just being the bean counter with the visor and all of that. So, and that I'm approachable.
I think these goals are great.
Thank you.
Particularly in the area of communications. I think it's important for our administration, yourself included, and for us as the school committee to really up our game, if you will, in that area and make sure that we communicate well what our school's needs are. So I do thank you for putting it there, and I kind of like having the job of being behind the computer. I don't know.
It has its, ups and downs, as they say. But again, that I want ultimately, Dr. Sanchioni has heard me say this many times. He's probably tired of hearing it. I am not an educator myself, but I am the child of educators, two educators, and I value that. And whatever I can do to support the district in providing a quality education to the children of Tiverton is my ultimate goal. And in my role, if I can adjust and modify and improve and clarify toward that end, I'm more than happy to do that.
Okay, great. Well done. Thank you.
I know, I just want to say that I'm looking forward to your perspective and your fresh perspective on the budget book. We kind of get in a rut and we kind of get stuck how we present things. So I'm very anxious to get, just a fresh set of eyes and a fresh perspective onto how to look at these things. So I'm anxious to see that.
It'll also contain sort of the historical detail that has already been there, but for those folks who just want the Cliff Notes, I'm hoping to achieve that as well as all the supporting detail that Dr. Sanchioni has traditionally presented.
That's great.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Carnevale, last but not least.
Okay, thank you. All right, so technology goals. So I have 3 goals to present to you this evening. The first goal is a goal by June of 2022 to develop a comprehensive cybersecurity plan that will be presented to the school committee in the upcoming spring. The action steps that we have are to review email procedures in the network, upgrade the current virus protection from in-house to a cloud-based, as well as to prepare a WISP, which is a written information security plan. We will then gather a baseline on the network and staff knowledge of cybersecurity, train where needed, research better ways, and retest all attributes of our information systems. Being part of the Rhode Island Student Data Privacy Consortium, we work with their team to kind of vet out some of our different software vendors to make sure that the software that we're using in the district are safe for the students. Now this, the RISPA, the Rhode Island group that we're part of, there's about 25 districts in the state of Rhode Island that are part of that group. Also, many districts in Massachusetts, as well as New Hampshire and Maine. And the benefit with that, that group that we work with is you get opinions from other school districts that use software and whether or not that they feel it's working as well. So it gives us a good insight on what we use as well as what other schools are using. And we also teamed up with CISA, which is the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, and that's part of Homeland Security. And we met with them last week to kind of go over the network and go over the plans that we did because this month is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And we went over a lot of the infrastructure and everything like that. And one of our main goals is to minimize risk. So that's something that we're really going to concentrate a lot on this year, is how to minimize risk. The second goal is kind of aligning up with the, as you saw, with the teacher goals, as well as the district goals, is to provide ongoing technology training to all grade level and department level PLCs. So we are making a commitment to attend all of the grade level PLCs to kind of get a better understanding of what they need and what their students' needs are in the classroom. What we want to try to do there is, after meeting with them, is prepare a lesson, something that we can teach them. The best way to utilize a particular software. For example, many of the elementary teachers' goals are math. That is an elementary goal. So we're looking at the math software that we offer and kind of preparing a lesson around that on how they can utilize it in the classroom to enhance that classroom experience. We will also continue to provide the best support for our staff to ensure that they have a good, successful rollout. We did begin this process on our first PD day, which was last week. We did go over that ZERN for that mathematics goal. And what we want to do after we meet up with the staffs and get them working on stuff, we plan to send out a survey to see how well we did and if it actually did help, if it did help the students, if it did help them in the classroom, so that we can really measure and make sure that what we're doing is right. Today, we actually sent out an email in regards to different softwares that they're using that that we didn't mention before in the PD day, so that we can kind of get more attention to those. And the third goal is take and complete a course in District Administration Technology Leadership Academy. So Dr. Sanchioni offered me the opportunity to take a course in leadership. And I'm partaking in this class to kind of get myself better leadership skills in the technology department. The part of this course is to create a vision, mission, and core value statement that aligns with our district and the current ones that we already have. And we collaborate with different IT departments from across the country. We're the smallest district in this meeting. We have, as you're aware, 1,800 students. The next smallest district in this meeting is 35,000 students. So it's really great because the feedback that I'm getting from this class is unbelievable. And hearing what these different departments do, it makes me sad when I hear that they have 14, 15 people working for them, but again, they have a lot more students. So, but the feedback that I'm getting and what I'm learning from this course is really going to benefit myself and the staff that I work with. And the big thing with this goal is to always strive what's best for our students. And I feel by completing this course and bringing these conversations that we're having back to the table, back to the administration, I feel that this will really help us as a district grow in the form of technology. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carnevale. Does anyone on the committee have any questions or comments? I do want to put you on the spot a little bit. As October is coming to a close, so is Cybersecurity Month. I do know that you were actively participating in cybersecurity exercises over the past month. I know I caught a fish. I was so proud of myself.
Yes.
How did all of that go?
It actually went very, very well. We will be presenting some of the finds from Cybersecurity Month at the next meeting. So we'll be going over a lot of that stuff there. But great feedback. The staff was awesome. and no one wanted to beat me up after that, the couple phishing emails that I sent out, so that's always good.
Okay, great. And I think, a continued focus on minimizing risk on your platforms is critical to the success of the district and maintaining confidence in the data storage. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
While hearing nothing else, I will turn the gavel over to Dr. Larkin for old business.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for filling in. So I'm just wondering about the fish. Is it because I just delete all my emails, or I didn't see one? Did you send it to everybody?
That I did, and if you didn't open it, that's a great sign.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry, you don't open any of
There's a lot of things I don't open, so it's a policy that seems to be working. All right. So we are up to then old business, vote capital request to town council. So just by way, and I don't know if Mrs. DiMederos was going to maybe attend via Zoom. She's our liaison, but I do see Mrs. Janik here. She's okay. Yeah, I think she's been getting run pretty ragged at work, and I can sympathize. So just by way of gloss, the town council met last Monday and at least passed a resolution to allocate up to $2 million for most of the things we had on our capital request. And there are a few things that we still needed to kind of review and get back to them on. So I'll turn the floor over to Dr. Sanchioni.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we're going to bring up a presentation, kind of show you where we're at and where we're moving forward.
So, Dr. Sanchioni, is this your initial one, or is this has been revised based on the feedback?
This has been revised.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So let's start with, again, with great gratitude to President DiMederos and the Town Council for considering the schools and offering us the resources to improve some of the conditions that currently our schools are facing. So when we went in front of the Town Council, there was a list that was approved, and I'm sharing that list with you right now. Again, you're familiar with this, and Ms. Roderick referred to some of these in her goals and some of the work that's already started to take place with them, but that's refurbishing bathrooms at the middle school, high school, 4 at each, the siding at Ranger, the dishwasher, the steamer as part of our 2 kitchens. We eliminated the maintenance contract for our 5 schools, the light poles at the THS Stadium, replacing 3 lawnmowers that are quite old, taking care of our tennis courts, and the intercom system here at the high school. And just to show you some of the work that's already taking place. I know bathrooms are one of the major concerns here. So we've already worked with the architects at RGB to take a look at the bathrooms here at the high school. We've identified 4 at this time that we'd like to refurbish. You can see on the right side the bathrooms in their current condition. And on the left side, pictures of the bathrooms that we already refurbished last time we did this project. So we have 2 brand new bathrooms here at the high school now. And if we add in these 4 more, we'd have a total of 6. And same thing at the middle school. Again, we've identified 4 other bathrooms at the middle school. You can see them with the red circles there. Top of the pictures are the current state of the bathrooms, and the bottom are the 2 that we have already refurbished. And again, making these bathrooms ADA accessible, making them sure all the faucets work and the urinals and the toilets and the partitions and all the things, and making them functional for all of our students. So if we go back right there. So if you take the amount that Dr. Larkin has already referred to, potentially a $2 million allocation, the list that I just shared with you comes in at $1.3 million, and I'll speak in round numbers, leaves an unencumbered amount for $682,500. So moving forward for the school committee's consideration, Dave, you're going to have to control this. If you can just bring it right there. One of the things we bring to your consideration is, when you look at the ability to enhance our school system, and everything on this list is important, And as part of tonight's packet, you have our 5-year capital plan, and you can take anything off of that 5-year list, and it would be important for our school system to fix a lot of things that have gone through the years and not being taken care of. But as your superintendent, I always want to look at something that can enhance the education of our students. How can we advance the learning? You continue to hear me about getting our graduation rate to 100%, increasing the amount of our students who are going on to competitive colleges and universities and so forth. So with always those goals in mind, I'd like to share with you the ability of possibly this library that you're sitting in right now, turning it into a media center. And if you go forward there, just to give you some ideas about what we're thinking about here, and I know the pictures might be hard, but in the top left-hand corner, one of the things we're talking about is a technology bar. So a place where we train students to kind of fix the Chromebooks, a place where students can go to get training on software and hardware and things that they may need to learn about using the Chromebook, systems that are on there to keep them up with their studies. If you go over another picture there, it's a studio. You know, we don't have a TV studio here at the high school. Most high schools do. Imagine giving our students the opportunity to write and broadcast a daily, media special about the school and things that go forward there. You know, down the bottom there, we've got pictures of what's called huddle spaces, where students work in small groups with screens in front of them where they can collaborate on their math or their social studies project or their science project or a writing prompt. And then on the far right, it's a large group instruction area where a teacher could bring their class in here and use the high-tech technology or the comfortable equipment and chairs and so forth that would be outlined in the media center. And so moving forward, just want to share with you some pictures of some media centers that have been developed in high schools in New England over the last few years. And you just get a sense of it's such a warm, inviting environment where students want to be, where they can do their research, where they can enhance their studies. And it's somewhat college-esque, and that's one of the things we want to try to promote with our students is the ability to do research and to study and to work collaboratively together. So you go back to that picture, Dave. And I just want to highlight that one on the left. That's a huddle space. That's the ability for students to link their laptop into a screen for 4 or 5 students to gather around, work on solving a problem, work on editing a prompt, work on a science project. And we envision having 4 or 5 of those here in the media center where they can go behind a closed door, work together, or work with a teacher in a small group. And on the right-hand side, again, is just showing you the potential of what this facility could become regarding using technology, having movable equipment, movable bookshelves, and really turning it into a place that really could support every student who attends this high school and every teacher who works in this high school. And so moving forward, we're going to skip through this real quickly. I know this comes with the added cost of a teacher, but I'd shared this idea with you about repurposing the room downstairs. It was a culinary program at one time. You know, at some point we'd like to have a talk with you about an aquaponics, hydroponics greenhouse where students can actually use that facility again in a way that they apply the science behind growing food to the actual idea of producing and cooking the food. So something to look forward down the line. However, knowing that adding anything to our operating budget is something we want to try to avoid. We also want to look at possibly repurposing that room downstairs. And so we have an amazing art program. We have 2 amazing art teachers. And we do offer a course in printmaking. But we really don't have the facility to do that. So if you move ahead a slide, one of the things we were thinking, want to put on the table for you is a layout where we can create the Tiger Print Shop. So the left-hand side would be the computer lab where students work and design these kind of things. And in the middle section there is all the equipment that go into a print shop. So this will become a CTE program for us. Dave, you move the slide forward. And there's a picture of the computer lab. Moving forward, the printmaking studio. Things that they could do in there, life skills, skills that are transferable to the world to work if you leave it there for a second. We already have contacts, our teachers have contacts with real life vendors where our students could do internships and leave our school with these skills that are transferable to the world of work. If we could put together a 3-course packet, we'd have the industry standard, we'd have the industry contact, we'd have internship for our kids, and we feel like we could really create a high quality career to technical education program that our students would benefit from using a facility right now that is not being used. And the cost of this is nowhere near what the aquaponics hydroponics lab was. Again, we don't need to add a teacher because we have the 2 teachers. We're just adding in courses and you can see the cost there. You can move it forward, Dave. And just a picture of what this could look like in a lot of different variations. So for your consideration tonight, we have an approved list at 1.3 million. You saw the unencumbered amount. There's a media center for your consideration. There's a graphic arts lab for your consideration. That would come in at 1.9. It would leave $78,000 unencumbered. Or certainly you have our 5-year capital plan in front of you. You could trade off anything up there and create a list that you feel would best represent the needs of our school system, and I know there's plenty.
All right, so I'm going to open up the floor to questions. I don't think the time is ripe yet for a motion. Mr. Dakotas?
Yeah, I've spoken to the superintendent. I know I missed one of the last meetings, and I know we've been appropriated this money from the town and the council, which I also wanted to say thank you for reinvesting some of this money back into the schools, which we have so many things that we need to spend the money on. There are things that are almost more of an emergency situation, and there are some things that would be really great to improve our school, to catch up to the 21st century, and have maybe some students that maybe would stay here instead of leaving for other schools because they want some more advanced curriculums, and I think there's a lot of work we can do. So I do have a concern financially probably about the media center. I talked to Dr. Sanchioni about it, but I do like the thought of the graphics art room specifically because we're not using it right now and it's not being used. So when we come up for discussion, we can maybe talk more about it, but I think maybe something like getting more of the bathrooms done at this point might be a better use for that, but I'd be willing to hear what everyone else has to say.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Thanks, Mike. Elaine or Ms. Pavo?
I have a question. How many bathrooms will be left unfinished? Once we do 4 at each school, what's the remaining number?
2 bathrooms if you don't count the locker room bathrooms. If you add in the locker room bathrooms, it'd be 4 more.
Okay.
In each school or just?
At each school.
In each school, yeah.
Middle, high.
Yep.
So 4, I thought we had a total of, so it always gets to these, pairs and things like that, so boys and girls. So I thought there was 8 boys, 8 girls at each school for a total of 16.
No. If we do the 6, we'd have 8 total, and if you count the locker rooms, it would be 10.
In each school?
At each school.
So that's 20 altogether.
So 20, yeah, okay, so we're still at the same number.
Yeah, if you count both schools, yes.
Right, so a total of 16, 8 girls. Do I have that right? Yeah. 16 is the number I have in my head. Mm-hmm. So it's 16 bathrooms total between the middle school and the high school, both sexes, correct?
Yes.
And in the sort of breakdown that you gave us, we're talking 4 at each school, so half that, 8, right?
2 are already been completed, 4 have already been completed.
I thought it was 16 after those 2.
So let's talk.
No.
Yeah.
When we talk, let's talk individual bathrooms regardless of the sex.
That's probably a good idea.
Because
right.
I think it's getting too confusing to be pairs.
Yeah, you're right. So I thought it was 8 at each school, excluding the ones that have already been done.
Again, depends if you're counting the locker room or not counting the locker room.
Not counting the locker room.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm drawing that number when I walked with Sue.
And Dr. Sanchioni, on this capital plan, I'm just looking at the high school, looks like you got 23.
23.
No, that's
Well, 13, the estimate, and maybe it's combined, I don't know, Gut renovate 4 toilet rooms, $356,000. Gut renovate 8 toilet rooms, $720,000. And gut renovate single toilet rooms, 13 of them, for $325,000.
Yeah.
Include staff.
Well, and I think we have to talk about the staff ones at the same time.
Right, and there's some bathrooms, for example, here at the high school that have been turned into storage areas that are no longer operational. We hadn't included those in the count.
Okay, I think that was at least where my count was coming from. I think we were including those.
Okay, so go over it again. How
Yeah.
many have we done? How many are we proposing and how many are left?
So we've completed 2. Well, we do 1 boys and 1 girls room.
At each school?
At each school, yeah. This number I put up there for you this evening is 4 more at each school, so a total of 8 more. And my count is that leaves 4 more to be completed if you count the locker room ones.
At each school?
Counting locker rooms at each school.
At each school, right. And
So
I'm going to just make sure my
total of
count's
8
correct.
more. Yeah.
And does that count staff rooms as well?
Ms. Craven, I know I've walked this with both principals, but Sue, can you just check and make sure my count is accurate?
Your count is accurate. If we're not counting those 2 rooms that Jerry and I entered that are now used for storage, Peter, your count is 100% accurate.
Great.
So how many total bathrooms and not including the locker room, not including the staff bathrooms, there'd be 6 bathrooms left at the high school, correct, Sue?
That's correct.
All right. And then Andy, I don't know if you've, welcome to Tiverton. This is what we talk about. So do you have a?
It's 8, right.
My understanding is that we had 8 at the middle school as well. Do you have that? Andy, or maybe Sue could help you out since she's had the privilege of spending some time there as well.
We had 4 done, correct, Sue, and we're in the process of doing 2 more bathrooms, 7th and 8th grade. Is that right?
No, you have 2 done at the middle school, and then you would have 6 left to do at the middle school. In total, the 7th and 8th grade bathrooms, and then if you count in the locker rooms, that would be 6. But there's 2 additional bathrooms on the 6th grade, so I'm counting those as well. So 6 in total at the school, and then if you add the locker rooms, that would be 2 more that need to be done.
That would be 8.
So if we did the locker rooms, it'd be 8 at both schools? Okay.
Thank you.
Got it. And the 8 left and 4 were in the breakdown that you have.
Or 8, if you
thus
count
far.
both schools. 4 at each school, so 8, total of 8.
Okay.
And can I ask this question one more time? Does this include the non-student bathrooms?
No.
So there's no plan to touch those?
Well, it's in the plans, it's not in our
In
recommendation.
which plan?
The revenue we have to look at right now.
Isn't it?
It's in this plan, but it is not in the,
No.
it's not in the capital request.
Well, this request doesn't even cover all the student ones, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Finish?
So, yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
No, that's a good question,
So
Elaine.
we're moving on.
I felt like we
Leaving
needed
the
to
bathrooms.
get a
We're
real
gonna go
number.
to Something else. So I would prefer we finish all the bathrooms because it's like a project you start and let's get it finished. And I like the Tiger Print Shop and the computer lab because they're here and they're at a minimal cost. I mean, the media center is fantastic. I just think these other things should come first, but that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Farnworth.
For the sake of discussion, I am behind Dr. Sanchioni's request to do the media center as well. I think that as a committee, we need to learn to walk and chew gum, that we definitely have many, if not emergency, urgent physical needs in these buildings beyond bathrooms. For any of us that recently took tours of these buildings, and I thank you for allowing us to take advantage of that. You know, I saw gym locker rooms that looked essentially the same as when I graduated, only they're all broken and in a terrible state of disrepair. I can't believe our kids use these rooms. You know, and then we have kitchens circa 68 for this building?
66.
66.
Okay, I was close. And, you know, throw another 10 years on that, less on the middle school. You have those immediate, real important needs to service our students. But we also have to remember that we have educational needs. And to bring at least one of our libraries into the 21st century, I can stand behind. I think that we need to remember what our overall call is here, is to provide the best education we can to Tiverton students. And I think that we can do some bathroom work, do some emergency kitchen work, and do a media center at the same time.
I'm gonna make a comment. Yeah, make a comment.
Yep.
And I
Okay.
don't-
Well, actually, just,
Okay.
you're done? Okay,
Finish.
go ahead.
I don't disagree with that.
No,
You
I agree.
know that I don't
know you do.
disagree with that.
Yep.
The reason that I'm focusing on this graphic arts print shop, Tiger Print Shop, it's a CTE program. Every time we send a child out of this district to go to another district, and you know this, to provide them with this opportunity, it costs us $17,000 a student. So I don't want to spend that money. I don't care if it's 5 students. Yes, I want it all. I want the media center, I want the greenhouse. We can't have it all. That's where I'm coming from. It isn't that I don't want the media center. These beautiful pictures of these media centers, how many students attend those high schools? That's my other question. What is the population? You know, we're a fairly small high school. And I do want it. I want everything for our kids. But we have to pick and choose, I guess. That's all I have to say.
All right. Deb? I think so. You're done? Yeah.
Could I just add also that I
Yeah.
do support the print shop as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to back up quickly to the maintenance contract that we took off. I would really like to see that in the budget this year, just an aside, because it is an operational thing. I think it's important that we start to grasp that and put it in. Secondly, we spent a lot of time talking a lot of time about bathrooms on my tour. And one of the comments that I brought to you, Peter, that had been commented to me, both a parent and a high school teacher, is we don't use all the bathrooms. Right. The students don't use all the bathrooms. So your comment to me was that's why they weren't all on the list as a priority. So my question to you was, and I don't know that you've had the opportunity because we just toured last week, was if there are bathrooms that aren't being used, do we need them for health and safety? Is it a requirement? So many kids, so many bathrooms. And if we don't need them, should we be thinking about repurposing them? So that's kind of my first thing for you. And then I'll go to my other few comments. But that's sort of my first thing, is this: if we really do have bathrooms that students aren't using, then why refurbish them? If we have bathrooms that aren't needed, why spend the money? I mean, we have a list of 25 million other things. So that's sort of my first thing. I don't know if you want to answer them as I go along, or...
Certainly your prerogative. But
Go ahead.
Happy to. So yes, had a long dialogue with our architects and with Principal Craven, and we felt that, 6 brand new bathrooms would serve our population of students. And they're located in the bathrooms right now that our students do use. Certainly, we wouldn't shut down the bathrooms in the locker room. You could never do that, so there would still be other places for them to use. And that's how, we got to sort of these priority decisions that we want to enhance the bathrooms for all kids. They are important. The 6 we think would service the population at both the middle school and the high school exceptionally well, and gives us the opportunity then to do something educationally.
And so did you find out, do we need the other ones that they aren't using? If that's or you haven't had a chance to find out?
We don't need them by code. You know, do we need them? That's, you know, that's more of an art than a science, right? And if you build them, they'll come, right?
Right.
If you make brand new bathrooms, I assume they're going to be used.
Okay.
Would 6 brand new bathrooms service our schools? Yes.
Okay.
So 6 in each new.
In each school, yes.
Yeah. So I guess my question, and I guess I have some primary data, being 3 children, which is they migrate to the bathroom that is renovated.
Right.
And so if you build them, they will come and do things in there that they are going elsewhere to do now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the answer to your question,
Yep.
Deb, is not that they're not using them because
They just don't prefer them.
Yeah, well, yeah, they prefer, you know, the spa rather than the horror show.
So then, my other question was the lockers, and we did spend some time in there. We happened to be there when Mr. Murray was there, so he certainly took the opportunity to come in and give me a tour as well. The bathrooms in there sounded like they weren't the priority, but the showers were.
Yeah, I think we've heard both,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's a lot of student athletes who use both the boys and girls size, and the facilities in there are limited. The showers don't work, and even the bathrooms are limited. I mean, I think we saw.
And it's not just our students, but it's visiting teams.
Visiting teams too, right?
That we, more often than not, our visiting teams simply don't shower, don't clean up. They prefer to get on the bus and just leave Tiverton dirty. I found that.
Eye-opening.
Yes. Thank you. I was
You're
looking for the word. So
always the
I
case.
do think, and they are on here, but that I had a little bit of a concern about that, just from the you know, not being able to shower perspective. And you're right. He said that, you know, there is a need for both the bathrooms and the showers, but it sort of sounded like the showers were really more of the immediate need. So I do have a little bit of concern about that. I'm excited about the print shop, as all of you are. Anytime we can get a new CTE course, that's exciting for the school. Regarding the media center, we also talked a lot about this. To Ms. Farnworth's point, and I agree, we are an educational facility. I mean, our task is to educate, and when we have rooms that are from the 60s that have not been modified in any way to meet today's needs, that is an issue. One of my thoughts was, and I think we talked about this, is unfortunately we do have a lot of repair, maintenance, health, safety needs that have sort of are to Mr. Dakotas' point, they're just urgent. They're things that we need to take care of. So I was kind of thinking sort of this 80-20, 90-10 rule, that perhaps we could partner with the council for the media center and not have them pay all of it, but perhaps we use some of our ESSER funds, which I know you guys have that all probably spent, but perhaps we partner with them if we really believe we need that, you know, that media center will bring us to the 20th century and that you really want it. And I did see, I don't know if it's on, is it next, where we have a grant?
Yeah. So
I don't know if there's an opportunity really to partner with them and not have that whole cost be part of this $2 million. I think that would probably be more palatable, and sort of, you know, if you do the CTE room and maybe part of this, but we look for funding elsewhere, that maybe that would be more palatable to us and to the council. So those were kind of my thoughts.
Hey, Deb, I just wanted to say that I referee a lot of basketball games here, and I don't shower here either.
Yeah.
You don't shower here because you want to go home and stuff.
No, he doesn't want to get arrested. So,
So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
okay. So just so I have the numbers in front of me. my computer's
May I
not
say
working.
something?
Yeah, sure.
So Deb, I agree. I understand what you're saying about sort of partnering. If we use some of the ESSER funds, though, that limits our ability to get reimbursement because it's not our money. It's the federal government's money. So if for us to
Oh,
submit,
good point. Thank
submit
you.
that to RIDE for reimbursement, we would be out that money altogether. I'm not saying we can't come up with a creative solution that encompasses maybe several different parts, but that's just something that we have to bear in mind. If we were to, any portion of that would not be reimbursable
Great
at all.
point. Thank you.
Okay. What was the number on the print shop again?
60,000.
And the number for a total of 8 bathrooms at the 2 schools was 850?
850.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, actually. So, you know, all of these things, including
Dave, go to the list.
all the stuff in the,
Slide 2.
the,
Oh, right there.
No, go back to the one that you had that just showed the total of what was left.
It's there.
That had everything.
yeah, although it doesn't break out the money for the bathrooms, which would give us the ability to extrapolate.
Do you want
how
that
much-
list? We can bring that up. Dave, it's a slide 2.
Can I ask one more question as well?
Sure.
Has everything on this list that you're proposing been vetted to the point where you have a very high confidence that these numbers are correct?
Yes. Yeah, we've spoken to RGB about the bathrooms. That number's, I believe, solid. We got a quote for Ranger. We have 2 quotes on the kitchen equipment. The light poles is an absolute perfect quote, and the lawnmowers are a perfect quote. Tennis courts is a perfect quote. Intercom, yeah, we're solid on all those numbers.
Okay.
So that's the 1.3 million?
Correct.
And so even, so that's 1.3. So even we're talking about essentially doubling the,
Go a couple slides.
if we did all the bathrooms, it would
Right there.
be essentially doubling it, correct? Yeah.
To take stuff off that list.
Well, you would do, you would do as many bathrooms as you can.
Dr.
So-
Larkin, may I say something?
Yep.
Please. So I wanted to point out, going back to the question about the locker rooms and the showers in the bathroom, I actually spent a good part of today with the engineers from RGB looking at the locker rooms, and to segregate those bathrooms from the whole locker room project. It can be done, but it is more cost-effective to do the whole area all at once.
That makes sense.
So just if without going into the details of sort of the layout of that, and that is the case in both the boys and girls locker rooms here at the high school. So I don't know if we just want to keep that in the back of our mind, that when we're talking about doing all the bathrooms, it is probably more time efficient and cost effective to do the locker room bathrooms with the renovations of the locker rooms themselves.
But we don't have any idea of what that additional work would cost
No,
beyond
but
the bathrooms themselves.
the engineer is drawing up the plans for that, and as soon as I have it, I am going to try to obtain at least some quotes that are in the ballpark of what we think that might cost.
So that's not in the 5-year plan then?
It is. You asked me
I
what the
thought
cost.
I saw it there. Where is it? I'm
It's
trying to find it.
600,000 to do the locker rooms and the bathrooms.
How much?
600,000.
To
Oh,
do,
To renovate the
That number's
gymnasium,
still
locker
good,
rooms,
Amy.
all the fixtures and all the bathrooms, showers and
I
bathrooms.
don't have any quotes on that. That's the estimate from RGB, but once we get the drawings, I would be able
We
to
can
get a
figure
better
out if
price
that's
on
a
that.
good number.
600,000 for both boys and girls?
Yeah, here at the high school.
Here at the
That
high
would be
school?
shower and bath.
Yes.
Yes.
Nothing at the middle school?
I'm sure the middle school's on the middle school list. It's probably another
Right,
600,000.
but that's not encompassed in that $600,000.
So
No.
if we, just for an example, if we so choose, and we said, well, we think that's a good number, that we could just add that and you're done.
That is,
But then you couldn't do more bathrooms. So it's that.
Well, you're doing 2 more bathrooms. I mean, you're
Well,
doing
no,
the-
I know, but you
Yeah.
couldn't do
doing those
more than
bathrooms.
2, but you would do the locker rooms and the locker room bathrooms. So
Yeah,
that's
you'd
the
still
choices
have,
that we
yep.
have.
And quite honestly, comparatively, and the locker room bathrooms would probably get more used than any other bathroom you would do in this building beyond the 4 that we already want to do.
But that 682, that does not include the media center or the CTE course.
That's the unencumbered amount.
That's the unencumbered.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I also bring up one other item that we haven't discussed at all, but I did notice when I was visiting the middle school, and it stuck out to me as perhaps a health and safety item, is the bleachers in the middle school gym. They didn't look very sturdy to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Is there a concern that they're going to be able to continue to be used for much longer? And to $25,000 to replace them? And
What's Sue's perspective on that? I mean, do they use them?
They use them occasionally, but they're not a safety hazard. They're old, and they certainly could be replaced. That's why they're on the list here. I don't think they would rise above anything else.
I saw gaps between the seats and the
there's
boards.
there's some issues.
Okay.
I mean, but they've been used repetitively, and they will be used. They're used now for youth basketball. Again, it's the school committee's prerogative. We have a lot of needs.
It's a fairly low-cost item that I just wanted to call attention to.
Okay. So, bottom line is, just to make sure
Can
we
you
all.
go back to the second slide? Go ahead. Well, no, because there's stuff out here we could pull off as well.
Okay.
So go ahead.
All right.
With all due
Well,
respect.
that's what I was looking at. I was saying, well, let me look at it again. I don't see anything.
Took off the contract, you should have.
That's why I said bring it back. I want to see if there's anything.
All right. So we're devolving a little bit. I'm going to try and control the
Yeah,
meeting.
but you know what, Jerry? This is the first time we've had this discussion as a
agree.
body, so
Okay.
please don't, let's have it.
We're having the discussion. I'm just trying to maintain. I thought I had the floor. So anyway, we have $1.3 million that was in the motion of the town council. The town council is the body that actually can allocate the money. If they went up to $2 million, it'd be another 682. So I think unless we want to pull some of these things off, which I don't see us doing, the question I think before us is, do we ask them to fund one thing or the other? Do we ask them to allocate the rest of that money to as much of the bathrooms as we can get done with that, maybe including the locker rooms? Do we say allocate that money to half of the media center or the full media center or the print shop or some fraction of those things, and the rest is devoted to continuing to renovate the bathrooms? Now, one thing that I think is relevant is that we should get a relatively good percentage back from any of the money that is expended for the bathrooms. That percentage goes down for other things that are less clearly related to health and safety. And again, there's none of these things that I think that any of us wouldn't want to do. I do think, though, that the bathrooms have to be a priority because of the health and safety issues, the fact that the schools are the emergency shelter for the town, and they are the things that are longest in need of repair and renovation, and that we continue to strive to find other ways to do these other things as well. How we, the message we want to, the motion we want to pass and the message we want to craft to the town council, I think we can still continue to talk about, all of it. But that's kind of my position on things, since we all sort of were going around and giving our views. So I'm going to open up the floor to anybody who is present in person who would like to speak. And I see someone would like to speak. Mrs. Janik.
Hi, Deb Janik.
Turn the microphone on,
Oops. Deb Janik, Town Council.
So I just wanted to remind you, we did vote for up to $2 million.
Right.
So we had gone up to the light pole on that list.
Right.
We also talked about the refund that we would recognize
Right.
from the health and safety, that the town treasurer and the solicitor were tasked to put back into this fund. So it wouldn't go back to the general fund, it would go back to this fund. So that would be some extra monies that you would recognize.
So I guess that was, I was wondering about that as I was driving here. And I don't remember exactly the specifics of what, and I think, you guys were still actually trying to figure out what the, how you would pass the ordinance or the resolution or whatever. Would the money that came back from renovations at the schools be earmarked for the schools, do you think? Or do you think it would just go back into a capital expense account that could be used
We
wherever?
discussed it to go back into the school's
That's what I thought.
capital.
Okay, that's what I kind of remembered.
The school's casino capital fund.
Okay.
We had done that with the capital fund that we had spent municipally this year. We
Right.
were rebated for the police cars, and it went back into that capital fund that's reserved. It's a restricted fund. So there is a method of doing that. So the solicitor and the treasurer were tasked to develop
Right, that's-
however
I
they
remember,
needed to do
right,
that.
right.
So
Okay.
it would go back there. So I know that I had earmarked the bathrooms, the dishwasher, the steamer, the intercom system would all be under health and safety.
Yeah, really.
So it would look like we could recognize some appreciable money refunded.
Probably enough to do the media center and the print center or the hydroponics or whatever it was we felt was the next, or the bleachers, whatever we felt
Right.
was next most urgent.
Excuse me, and the bleachers may be safety too.
Yeah.
That could be. I want it all too, Elaine. I want it all. I think that some of the reservations that the council have, and it represents the town-wide, is in putting in some of these things, the media center, would there be recurring expenses? Staff, resources, equipment, supplies, that's what their concern is.
Yeah.
So.
As is ours.
Reasonable concerns.
Yeah, as is ours.
So.
Okay. That's it? Oh, okay.
Dr. Larkin,
Thanks.
may I say something about the reimbursement?
Sure.
So our base reimbursement is 35%, and then there are some additional incentives, I believe, that potentially bring us up to 50%, but that 50% is not guaranteed. So we could bank on the 35%, although the health and safety does have a little bit more. So I just want to put that out there, that we're not getting like half of it back on a regular basis. But the bottom line that we would get would be 35%, and there is a 1-year delay. So we
That was my
complete the
next
project.
question. Yeah.
Now we have to submit our forms by the middle of July, and then we get paid in October, November sometime. So there is a lag to that, although we certainly won't, if it's put back into a capital fund for the schools, we'll certainly, deal with that delay, but it's not an instantaneous refund. I just want to put that out there.
Right.
Dr. Sanchioni, too, didn't you comment to me that some of the stuff, not that I'm advocating for it because I understand the trepidation, but that some of the media center stuff would be reimbursed as well?
Yeah, it's all reimbursable other than furniture and fixtures. So any work, all wiring, any walls you put in, any carpeting redesign, all that. The major,
That's reimbursed, that's the 35% reimbursement as well, Amy?
35,
Okay.
and there's also incentives for that on the educational side, too. The only thing you wouldn't get reimbursed for is the monitors and the things of that nature.
Okay.
Can I ask another question? And I don't know if it's a separate agenda item, but this grant application.
Yeah,
separate-
could we move that
Yeah.
up maybe?
Yeah,
as well?
because it could
So actually,
change what we do.
I want to try and follow some kind of regular order. So right now, I'd like to entertain questions from the people present, then we'll go to the administrators and people who might be coming in remotely, and then I'll open it up again to the committee or whoever else wants to talk. So is there anybody else who is present in person who would like to speak to the issues before the committee? Okay. I'm going to open it up to any of our administrators who are in Zoom, and I don't know if Mrs. DiMederos was able to get in. Okay, so any of the administrators who are on Zoom would like to ask questions, make comments, exercise their right to vote?
Dr. Larkin?
Sure.
I understand the push for the bathrooms at the high school, but I can tell you that the media center is the hub of the school. And so students, we're not considering what that can contribute to their mental health when they have a safe space to collaborate in. We're focusing on safety, and I understand that, but there's so much more to it. If you go through the school during the day, you can see students on the couch in that media center relaxing, just like, gaining their composure. It gives them some safe space as they endure their academics and, the trials and tribulations of high school. So I do want to impress upon you the importance of that media center in addition to the bathrooms.
Okay, thank you.
I'd also like to bring out the parking lot, not so much the parking lot, but the emergency driveway that goes around the building at Ranger. That part of the pavement is really falling apart. So that would be something we'd have to consider, at some point. And I don't know if some of this money would be available for that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Corral.
What material now? Is it just asphalt?
It was just the base coat was put down.
Oh.
There's all kinds of potholes, and the base tar is just starting to fall apart.
Okay.
How much is that, just for reference? To pave that?
300,000.
Whew, some expensive asphalt.
The whole parking lot.
The whole parking lot.
And the road going around the building.
Oh, okay. So obviously much less just to do the,
We didn't break out just the road.
yeah, okay.
Okay. And anything from the public, Mr. Carnavale?
There is no current questions from the public, Dr. Larkin.
Oh, that's a shock. Okay. So I'm going to open it up back to the committee. Just sort of raise your hand or speak up. Diane, I think you want.
Could we move up the media center grant? Because I do want to hear about that, and it might change the way that we allocate or vote, or?
Well, it would have to be in the form of a motion.
I will make a motion that we move up the grant for discussion along with the capital.
Mrs. Farnworth, because she had wanted to speak previously, so if I could do that first. Okay. Mrs. Farnworth.
Is that, I'll be happy to make that motion. Is that truly what 6B is supposed to be addressing?
It is. Can I
Is
speak to it,
that's the
Dr.
name of
Larkin?
it, School Building Authority Capital Fund
No.
application?
Oh, is it? No.
Yeah. I believe, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we move up item 6B, approval of School Building Authority Capital Fund application.
I'll second.
Any opposed?
So,
Okay, I'll take that as unanimous. Dr. Sanchioni.
yeah, this is, unfortunately, it's going to be a quick conversation. So we
Oh,
found
that's-
out from RIDE today that at this time, they're only funding districts that qualify for 65% reimbursement, which is basically your urban areas. So they told us to file the grant and come back next year.
Okay, good to know.
Good to know. We tried. I mean, we've taken every option we possibly can.
Yeah, what was the rationale there? They want
Urban
to-
areas preference first, priority first.
Huh?
Urban areas are the priority right now.
The urban areas that are receiving 85% of their funding from state money.
Are we not urban?
No.
I say we're urban.
Just ask half the people.
My
still
lack
have
of
no
power and internet
I
for
was
the
just
last
gonna
2
say.
days says no, we're not.
Yeah.
So I'll make a
This
motion that
would-
we move back to 6A, vote capital request.
Well, yeah, we hadn't really, they're still active, I guess, both of them. Yeah, this would be a time to rant about the funding formula, but I don't think that's going to be constructive. So, Any other members of the committee would like to make any comments? Mrs. Farnworth.
I have a couple of questions and comments. First of all, how are we going to structure this vote, Dr. Larkin?
Someone
we
will
don't
need-
have a
yep.
list that equals $2 million in front of us.
So someone will have to craft a motion. So I was going to get to that next. And the way I would envision it would be two separate motions. One is to make a motion to accept the allocation that the town council has made already of the $1.3 million. And then people can decide, I suppose there could be no motion, but then we can, some brave soul can decide to craft a motion to make a request back to the town council for how the additional, whatever it is, $700,000 or so, 682 would be allocated, because they ultimately are the allocating authority for the money. So, so anyway, are there any other comments from the committee, from anyone present, or from the public, or from our administrators? So I'm going to ask for motion that the committee accepts with gratitude the $1.3 million allocation already made by the town council towards our capital requests list. And I don't know if Dave, you can pull that up again, just so we know what we're voting on.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'd second that motion.
So the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any additional discussion from the committee?
Slide 2. Slide 2.
So this is the allocation that the town council made to us. All right, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Mrs. Palish? Yes. Mrs. Farnworth?
Yes.
Mr. Dakotas?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavo?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So unanimous. So now I'm going to ask for, I'll entertain a motion on a request to the town council for the remaining unencumbered balance of the $2 million.
So that's the 682,500.
Correct. So we can't, so if I can give some guidance, we can say we would like the rest of that money allocated towards additional renovation of the bathrooms, and we'll see how far that gets us.
Okay.
You can say.
Could the motion include 2 items?
So yeah. So you can craft the motion any way you want. So that's why I'm kind of trying to give a little bit of guidance. You can say, I would like to ask the town council to give us half of the media center and the rest be the bathrooms. I would like the town council to, we can craft the motion in any way we choose. We then can discuss it and we can vote on it. If it passes, then that is the request back to the town council. If it fails, then we can continue to make motions until we get to something we can all agree on, or we say nothing, and then I guess they can either use the money elsewhere, or they can decide what they want to do with the money for us, and we would have to then accept it again. It's a little bit tortured, but I think we'll get to a place where we say we would like them to do X, Y, or Z with the rest of that allocation, and then at their next meeting they will take it up and decide that's what they want to do or not. So.
I just have one additional question for Amy or Dr. Sanchioni. Realistically, then, given the grant discussion, if I asked for just a portion of the media center, realistically, there is going to be no additional funding this year that you can think of for that. Point being, it doesn't do us much good for 250 if we can't come up with the other 300.
You've identified, we could look at ESSER 3, it's non-reimbursable, but you could certainly consider that revenue. That's really the only other amount of money I think you have available.
Okay. At least in the short term.
Yep.
There would be potentially within 18 months, money that might come back to us or should come back to us from renovating the
That's
bathrooms.
why I'm trying to think of like now versus.
Right. So,
So we could do the bathrooms, we could do the print shop.
I'd like to make a motion.
okay.
I would like to make a motion with the remaining $682,500 that we approve $544,000 for Media Center, $60,000 for the Tiger Print Shop.
And then you're like
The remaining $78,500 to be used, I guess, for paving at Ranger. I don't have any better.
Is that 78,000 enough for the range of?
I don't know. It wasn't broken down.
Trying to see something.
We'd have to break out the road to see what.
I think $78,000 might get you another bathroom, actually.
We could do that too.
Okay.
I think the thing we need to remember is that, this capital list is $25 million. And we have two very old schools. On top of which, we have three relatively new schools, although with every passing year, they're getting a few miles on them.
Just like all of us.
I added up what they have here on their capital list. It's $2.5 million just for the elementary schools. So we have to consider them in every one of our conversations now as well. I don't think Tiverton's in a place where we are going to be able to take advantage of building a new high school like so many school systems have in our state and in the neighboring state of Massachusetts. So I think we need to just do the very best we can to not only maintain, improve our facilities, but maintain and improve the educational experience for all the students who pass through.
Okay, so can you just repeat your motion, Diane?
My motion would be $544,000 for the media center, $60,000 for the print shop, the remaining $78,500. If you feel that can do a bathroom, then I am okay with that.
Okay, so the motion would be to request of the town council that of the balance in the $2 million fund, that $544,000 be allocated towards a media center, $60,000 be allocated towards a print shop, and the remaining $78,000 be allocated towards additional bathroom reservation insofar as that is needed.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. I'll open the floor to any additional discussion. Mr. Dakotas?
I'm good, thank you.
Mrs. Pavo?
All set.
Mrs. Farnworth?
All set.
Mrs. Palish?
So the 60,000 for the CTE, 544, and the rest to go to what?
Additional bathroom.
An additional bathroom?
Your microphone.
Oh, sorry. An additional bathroom or paving? I
No,
was confused.
Bathroom. The motion was bathroom.
Okay.
Bathroom.
Yeah.
Paving too, okay.
There was an initial
So it's
discussion
like
and
one bathroom.
formulating the motion. Well, I think,
However it stretches.
as far as it
However it
goes,
stretches.
it winds up costing us $10 and we'll have a lot of money for more bathrooms.
Okay.
But I don't think so. So you had the floor, Deb, actually.
No, that was it. I wasn't sure what
That
the
was
last item was.
Okay. All right. So I will ask for a vote. Mrs. Palish?
No.
Mrs. Farnworth?
Yes.
Mr. Dakotas?
No.
Mrs. Pavo?
No.
And I vote no. So motion fails 4-1. I'll entertain another motion if anyone would like to make one.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a motion for 60,000 for the print shop, 250,000 for the media center, and the remaining 372,500 to be for bathrooms.
How much was the last number, please?
372.5, and if my math is right, that should add up to 682.5. Yes, Amy, can you check me?
Yes, it does.
My logic being, again, we are an educational facility. We do have to start, we need to bring 1966 rooms up to, standards of today's teaching. And I think Sue's comment about, this isn't just this is a place for the kids. This is the hub of the school. It always has been. And I would like to see us partner with the council to pay for it and not, just have them pick the cost up. And I'm confident we can find funds to do so, even if it's, grants, non-reimbursable funds. I just think a partnership to bring that in would be a better way to go at it.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and second. Any additional discussion? I'll go by... Okay, Mrs. Pavo, you can go first.
With Deb's motion, would there be any reimbursement for any of the items that she has?
The bathrooms and the media center, except for furnitures and fixtures, are reimbursable, depending
I
upon
think anything
the
that
funding.
That's health and safety.
Yeah, so anything that, so we can't get reimbursed for expenditures of ESSER money, but anything that we expend out of our capital plan approved by RIDE gets reimbursed. It just gets reimbursed at different rates. The bathroom, health and safety, the highest. If we called ourselves Providence, apparently it's 65%.
But even the 60, part of the 60K would be.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, the base reimbursement would be 35%, and then any sort of specific incentives over that depends on what the project is.
Right, okay.
We would just need to be creative how we find the additional money so that we get reimbursement.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Mike, any questions, discussion?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Diane?
I'm concerned on how we're going to find the additional money, especially when we've been running structural deficits. But I will yield for a vote.
Okay. Deb, any other thoughts? Anyone present would like to comment on the motion? Any of our administrators would like to comment on the motion? Anyone in the public would like to comment on the motion?
There are no public comment right now. Dr.
Okay.
Larkin.
I have two questions, I guess. One is, our ESSER 3 money is estimated again at 1.7?
1.7?
1.7, just over.
1.7. How realistic would it be if we were able to get the town council to commit to have the media center, that we would be able to use ESSER 3 money?
We might have an alternative source too. We'd like to take a look at that. But to Ms. Palish's point, I think we could accommodate that request.
Okay. And I guess so it's probably not.
Dr. Larkin, if I may,
Yep.
Given that a large portion of the ESSER 3 money and ESSER 2 money, actually all the ESSER money, is geared toward learning loss.
Right.
I don't think it's in our best interest to go the route of ESSER 3. However, a big focus of that is the digital divide, learning loss, and things like that.
Yeah.
So I would I would be safe in guessing that we would be able to use at least some of that money towards the media center, and justifiably so. Exactly how much, I would have to go back and read the regulations. However, while some of the guidance is out, the application still has
Right.
not come out. So, and I don't know when it will come out and how long it would take to be approved. And then what would happen if that portion of it or any portion of it was not approved? We would need a contingency plan.
Right. Okay. So So the motion is to request of the town council that $250,000 be allocated towards the media center, $60,000 towards the print shop, and $310,000 towards
$372,500
$372,500
for bathrooms.
Oh, yeah, that was 250 plus 60. So 372.5 would be allocated towards additional renovation of bathrooms. So I'll ask for a roll call vote. Mrs. Palish?
Yes.
Mrs. Farnworth?
No.
Mr. Dakotas?
No.
Mrs. Pavo?
Yes.
Damn. I vote yes. So the motion passes. So the request of the town council will be that they allocate $250,000 towards a media center, $60,000 towards a print shop, and $372,500 towards additional renovation of the bathrooms.
Could I ask another question?
Yes.
Are we able to sort of put request A and request B forward? So if they do come back, I know they're moving very quickly and I don't
Yeah.
want to have to go back. So if this is our primary request, we explain it, they deny it, can we be ready with another vote that says that?
Yeah, we can do, you know,
Then I will make a.
we have a First Amendment right to say whatever we
Okay,
want to
so
whoever we
I'm going to
want.
make a motion if this request is denied, which would,
Yeah.
but it is our first request, and I
Yeah.
hope we explain it as such, that the remaining, the 250 for the media center, I would still want the 60, but the 250 for the media center, if it's denied, be allocated towards bathroom facilities.
Okay, so motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? I'll ask for a vote. Mr. Dakotas?
Could I add one thing to that, Deb? Could I ask you a question?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, we're still in discussion.
I could amend it, you could amend it?
It was almost a question
Okay.
before we vote. That 250 that's remaining, any specialized area where those bathrooms are, middle school, high school, overall? The reason why I'm asking the question is, I think it would be prudent if that does happen, that backup plan had to come to fruition, that we would look at the high school, those locker rooms, those bathrooms in there.
I think ultimately any bid would have to be accepted. I don't think that town council would be interested in getting into the nitty-gritty of which schools we're trying to prioritize
Right,
or
that
which
we'd
actual
have
bathrooms.
we'd have to
But
approve the bids.
The bids would have to be accepted by us, so we would have to.
Okay, because I know it was in a separate spot in here,
Yeah.
that's why I asked that question.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Understood.
Good
Any-
clarification. though.
Any other discussion or questions? So I'll ask for a vote. Mr. Dakotas?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavo?
Yes.
Mrs. Farnworth?
No.
Mrs. Palish?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So the motion passes that if our first request is denied, that the additional $250,000 be allocated towards the bathrooms. Any other comments or anything anyone would like to take up under both these two items, 6A and B?
Do we
before
know,
we
and
move
maybe
on?
Miss Janik knows because she's here, when is this on your agenda, Deb?
I think Monday.
I'm not quite sure.
Oh,
I
okay.
think it is on Monday, though. I think that it's great you have two requests. I really would like us to have more open dialogue.
conversation.
Really, and because it's not our money, it's really the town money, and we need to allocate it where it needs to be. So I have to tell you, I walked in tonight thinking we really should go with all bathrooms. I'm open to other things now, so I think bringing a good conversation, and you do a great job, Dr. Sanchioni. But there are 7 of us, and I don't know what's in everyone else's head. So I think it's good if we can have that conversation. And
But we think Monday.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure it is
Okay.
Monday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
That's it.
I'll be there. Okay. Any other discussion before we move on to the next item? I'll just make one comment. If Ms. Mendes, if you could post that as a meeting for us in case we have a quorum present. I know I'll be there, assuming that it is taken up Monday. Peter, you'll be there? Of course. Okay. I might ask Mrs. Craven to come as well if she's able to. Okay, thank you. I was going to let you not commit right now, but kudos for doing so. All right, so we are up to item 7, announcements, scheduled meetings, reports. Dr. Sanchioni, you want to talk about, oh wait, what, so these are just items for November 9th?
It's just showing you your next meeting's November 9th, and we move all the agenda items from tonight over there, so you see what's coming forward to you, and then your next meeting's the 23rd. I'd also add to you that, I don't know if you saw today, RICAS scores were released. They were embargoed and came out, so we'll have a presentation for you on the 9th and on Tiverton scores too.
Okay. All right. I was going to offer, if people want to hear it, to do sort of an update on kind of, since the vaccines are probably going to be approved in the first week of November for children 5 years and older, or at least the Pfizer vaccine will be. I was going to offer to do sort of an update on COVID mitigation strategies and some of the things I've been hearing from Department of Health and the Department of Education on the 9th, if that would, people would like to hear that.
Yeah, you're on there, Dr. Larkin.
I am
It's
on
listed.
it?
Yep.
I guess I'm not reading as fast as I thought. Okay, all right. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we may need to change that actual item, but it'll be kind of a update on vaccines, COVID mitigation.
Sure, I'll reword it.
Okay. Anything else that anybody else would like to take up on the 9th? It's fullish as it is. And then we'll be meeting on the 23rd. That's like the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's yes, that's what we usually do.
We usually have it.
It usually seems logical. So
We can discuss it on the 9th. All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.